Right now, without thinking about it, you just took a breath. You do it around 20,000 times a day. You have never once been taught how. And almost every single one of those breaths, according to the science, is wrong. Not slightly wrong. Not a minor inefficiency. Wrong in ways that are quietly reshaping your face, degrading your sleep, accelerating your heart rate, narrowing your airways, and contributing to anxiety you cannot explain. Wrong in ways that have been building since you were a child. Wrong in ways that a growing body of researchers now believe are connected to some of the most common and most dismissed health complaints of the modern age. And the strangest part? Your ancestors did not breathe like this. For most of human history, people breathed differently, better. The shift happened gradually over centuries, and it left almost no trace, except in the bodies we carry around today, still trying to function with a breath that was never meant for them. Here is where it starts. You are probably breathing through your mouth right now. Or you were, until this sentence made you self-conscious about it. Mouth breathing feels natural. It feels like the obvious, easy way to get air in. But James Nestor, a science journalist who spent years researching the physiology of breath and documented his findings in a decade of research, discovered something that changed how he understood the human body entirely. The nose, he found, is not just a passageway. It is a sophisticated biological instrument that filters, warms, humidifies, and pressurizes air before it ever reaches your lungs. The mouth does none of this. When you breathe through your mouth, you bypass the entire nasal system. You take in air that is colder, drier, and less filtered. Your lungs have to work harder to process it. Your heart rate climbs slightly to compensate. Your body reads this as low-grade physiological stress. And if you do it constantly, which most modern people do, that stress response never fully switches off. But it goes deeper than that, much deeper. Dr. John Mew, an orthodontist who spent over 50 years studying the relationship between breathing and facial development, made an observation that the mainstream medical establishment largely ignored for decades. He found that the way children breathe determines the shape of their face, not just slightly, dramatically. Children who breathe through their noses develop wider jaws, higher palates, and more forward facial structure. Children who breathe through their mouths develop narrower jaws, higher and more arched palates, and longer, flatter faces. The teeth crowd. The airway narrows. The stage is set for a lifetime of breathing problems that will compound year after year. Look at old skulls. This is what researchers like Nestor and physical anthropologist Peter Ungar at the University of Arkansas have done. And what they found is striking. Pre-industrial human skulls from before the modern diet of soft, processed food, show almost universally straight teeth, wide jaws, and large nasal passages. Crooked teeth, impacted wisdom teeth, narrow palates, these are not genetic inevitabilities. They are modern phenomena. They are the fossil record of a change in how we eat, how we chew, and how we breathe. Your jaw was supposed to be worked constantly. The act of chewing hard, fibrous food throughout childhood stimulates the bones of the face to grow wider and stronger. When that stimulus disappears, replaced by soft food that requires almost no effort to eat, the jaw stops developing to its full potential. The palate narrows. The nasal passages tighten. Mouth breathing becomes not just a habit, but a structural consequence of the environment you grew up in. Now here is the part that reaches into your daily life in ways you would not expect. Stanford professor and physiologist Dr. Andrew Huberman has extensively documented the connection between breath and the nervous system. The way you breathe, he explains, directly and immediately changes the state of your brain. This is not metaphor. It is mechanics. Your diaphragm, the large dome-shaped muscle beneath your lungs, is connected to your nervous system in a way that makes it unique among the body's muscles. When you breathe slowly and deeply into the belly, you activate the vagus nerve, the long, wandering nerve that runs from your brainstem down through your chest and abdomen. Vagus nerve activation triggers the parasympathetic nervous system. Your heart rate drops. Your digestion improves. Your pupils contract slightly. Your body shifts from alert to calm. When you breathe fast and shallow, the way most modern people breathe by default, high in the chest, mouth open, you activate the sympathetic nervous system instead. The fight-or-flight branch. Your heart rate rises. Cortisol climbs. Your body enters a state of low-level emergency that it was never designed to sustain indefinitely. Most people are running their nervous systems in permanent low-grade emergency, not because anything is wrong in their life. Because of how they are breathing, there is a number you need to know. It is called the ideal breathing rate, and it has been studied across multiple disciplines, from yoga physiology to cardiac research to military performance science. The number is approximately 5.5 breaths per minute, not 12 to 20, which is the average modern rate, not 15, which is where most adults sit. 5.5, roughly one breath every 11 seconds, with an equal duration on the inhale and the exhale. Researcher Patricia Gerbarg at New York Medical College has studied this rate extensively and found that breathing at or near this frequency produces a measurable state of coherence between heart rate, blood pressure, and brainwave activity. The body at this rate becomes extraordinarily efficient. Every system works better. Oxygen delivery improves. The nervous system quiets. Cognitive performance sharpens. You almost certainly never breathe at this rate. Almost no one in the modern world does. And then there is what happens at night. Sleep researchers have known for decades that breathing during sleep is one of the most important and most overlooked variables in human health. Dr. Christian Guilleminault at Stanford spent 40 years studying sleep-disordered breathing and concluded that the majority of children and adults diagnosed with attention deficit disorder, anxiety, depression, and chronic fatigue had underlying breathing dysfunction during sleep. Not all of them, but enough to demand a rethinking of how those conditions are diagnosed and treated when you sleep with your mouth open, which millions of people do. Without knowing it, your airway is more likely to collapse partially or fully. This is the mechanism behind snoring, behind sleep apnea, behind the kind of fragmented, non-restorative sleep that leaves you exhausted after 8 hours in bed. Your body is not resting. It is fighting to breathe all night, triggering micro-arousals that prevent deep sleep without ever fully waking you. You wake up feeling like you barely slept because, in the ways that matter most, you barely did. There is a simple, strange, almost absurd intervention that sleep researchers have begun recommending with increasing seriousness. Mouth tape, a small piece of surgical tape placed over the lips before sleep to enforce nasal breathing throughout the night. Nestor tried it himself as part of a 10-day experiment conducted with Dr. Jayakar Nayak at Stanford, in which both men had their nasal passages deliberately blocked to force mouth breathing, then unblocked to restore nasal breathing. The results were not subtle. During the mouth-breathing phase, Nestor's blood pressure spiked. His snoring increased dramatically. His blood oxygen dropped. His sleep quality collapsed. When nasal breathing was restored, every metric improved, often within hours. What this experiment revealed was not just the importance of nasal breathing. It revealed how fast the body responds when you give it what it was designed for. The human respiratory system is not fragile. It is extraordinarily adaptive, but it has a preference. And that preference is deeply evolutionarily encoded. So what do you do with this? You start by noticing. Right now, is your mouth open or closed? Are you breathing high in your chest or low in your belly? Is your tongue resting on the roof of your mouth, where it is supposed to be, pressing upward against the palate, helping to maintain the structural integrity of your airway? Or is it sitting low and flat? These details seem small, but they are running in the background of every moment of your life, shaping your nervous system, your sleep, your face, your energy, and your mind. Then you practice. Not complicated techniques, not expensive equipment, just slower, just through the nose, just into the belly, just at a rate that your nervous system recognizes as safety rather than threat. 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out. Then 5 and 5. Then the approach that both Huberman and Gerbarg converge on, 5 to 6 seconds in, 5 to 6 seconds out, finding the rate where your body feels like it has finally stopped bracing for something that never comes. You have been breathing for your entire life. You have taken approximately 500 million breaths since you were born, and almost none of them were quite what your body was designed for. But the next one can be.